Products that we want, but that don't exist yet. This is MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by Zocdoc. Find local doctors who take your insurance. Learn more at Zocdoc.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is the third in a three-part MacVoices live conversation. This time we wrap up our discussion of products that we would like to see that don't exist yet. We keep hoping someone will make them. Let's go back and find out what they are and let the panel do the talking. Jim, you're awfully quiet right now. Isn't there any product you would like to see somebody create for you that would make your life easier?
The next version of Panorama.
I think I know a guy.
Yeah.
Andrew?
I don't think I can think of anything.
Wow. So you're completely satisfied?
I guess right now.
Okay. Guy?
Yeah, it's something that's halfway here, but not all the way here. And it's only available currently on the Android side, which is basically just have a little dock for a phone that turns it into a desktop computer that you put in your pocket and take wherever you want. There's nothing really like that for iOS. You can certainly plug an iOS device into a bigger monitor and have a big iOS screen, but it doesn't turn it into a desktop computer.
I know what you're talking about, like the Samsung DeX.
Exactly. Samsung DeX, honestly, is a brilliant product. And the fact that Samsung doesn't sing the praises of this program to the hilt astounds me. They have something unique that really not too many other companies that make Android devices have. And it's a brilliant device. I mean, it's like running Windows off of your phone onto whatever screen you want to hook it up to.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Bluetooth support, you've got Wi-Fi, you've got everything. Everything that phone would have is now on a great big screen with a mouse and keyboard. And it's
Motorola
just like it's
had one
mostly
of
just
those
like sort
long
of
ago. Like the idea of it was the same though. It was you have a phone that you carry around in your pocket, and then you take it out of your pocket and you stick it in this thing,
right?
And it connects to a monitor, and you can have a keyboard and a mouse and do the whole computer thing with your phone right there. And then you can pick up your phone and put it in your pocket and take it with you.
Yeah.
Like the idea of it is a thing that existed. Execution, is a different conversation.
Well, because the technology just wasn't there at the time. But now, I mean, even working off of Android, there's plenty of applications on the Android side that will work within a windowing environment. But I don't think there's anything on the iOS side that does the same, because Apple has never really pushed it. I would love to see Apple get into something like this, where the only computing device that you really, and let's face it, it's not like, they're talking about a new Mac Mini coming out next month sometime with, an M2 Pro or M1 Pro or whatever it is it's going to be. That's like 20 times the computer that 90% of the people that are out there even really need. And the M processor, or its equivalent, the A processor that you have in your phone and your iPhone, is more than powerful enough to do almost everything that most people do. But the problem is it's locked in that little tiny screen. So if you could bounce that out and have it have like an actual, crazy talk here, an actual Finder-like experience, and I know, isn't that nuts? And some kind of file management system that actually looks at files as files instead of folders as folders and all the rest of the stuff that Files does so poorly on the iOS side, then you could have something like that where you didn't really even need a Mac anymore, and you'd probably have more people updating, buying phones every year than they do now. Because right now you buy a phone, especially an iPhone, and it's good for 3 or 4 years. But if that's now your only computer, you might be willing to upgrade that a little more often. But
Yeah.
Apple doesn't want to do it.
I think there are more people that have the iPhone as their only computer than all the Macs in the world.
I don't
Oh
think
yeah.
so.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
just want to backtrack. So I want to backtrack and align myself with Guy because honestly, that has been on my Apple wish list before. I have wanted the iPhone to be like the Samsung DeX, where I just plug it into something and I can get an external monitor, and iOS just blooms into this full-featured desktop.
Yep.
And I think right now, you can, AirPlay some things from your iPhone to your Apple TV, but
It's not
like
easy.
this. Yeah. And it's not like a full featured computer or anything.
Right. And with DeX, I don't know how many of you have actually tried it. I actually bought a Samsung S10 just to try this because I thought it was so brilliant. And I've got like this little tiny plastic dock device that's got HDMI out and Ethernet in and a couple of USB ports, and even has audio out. And it's little plastic dock. It sits about this big. You plug a USB-C cable into it for power, and it powers your device and HDMI out to a monitor. It's unbelievably great.
Well, that you can do with an iPad already. Like,
Right.
But you don't have a desktop experience.
Well,
Not
that,
really.
that goes back to, my annual rant that Apple should make macOS run on an iPad.
Oh, I don't want that at all.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said my rant that everybody's like, Jim, you're wrong.
It's the
I don't
difference.
think I'm not going to say you're wrong. I personally wouldn't want that because I have used the version of Windows that's supposed to be touchscreen and not at the same time. And it makes me a danger to myself and others to have to do that for extended periods of time. And by extended periods, I mean more than about 10 minutes because it's so hard and it's so confusing and it's weird and like nothing.
Yeah.
Well,
It's not great at being touchscreen. It's not great at being desktop. It just sort of half-assed both of them. And it makes me crazy.
Well, one of the great things about Samsung DeX, and I'll get off this soapbox here after this, is that it's really, I might, until next week. It's like almost zero configuration. There is nothing that the end user, it's not like, okay, I'm going to plug this into here. All right. And now I have to hit the Alt Shift blank F1 key to engage. No, you plug it in, it comes up on the screen, and you're going in a desktop experience.
I think Apple's answer to that, and I'm not arguing that what you're saying is a bad idea, but Apple's answer is iCloud. Your documents are on the cloud, and so we want to sell you multiple devices. And when you get on your Mac, your documents are all there waiting for you, and we've got handoff and all that stuff. So
it still requires separate computers everywhere you go,
and that's good from Apple's point of view.
Except not everybody has.
That's what Apple sells.
Not everybody has multiple Apple computers everywhere.
No,
I mean, I have to use a Windows computer at work.
I understand Jim's point, which is that like I can open a Keynote file. This is the thing I've done. I've built a Keynote presentation on my laptop, and then I went to present it and presented from my iPad. And as I'm scrolling through my slides, there's a typo or that thing isn't quite where I wanted it, now that it's going to be on the screen, and I'm able to just bust it out in Keynote and make that adjustment or fix the animation or whatever it is and have it work on my iPad. And then when I go back to my laptop, like it's the same file thanks to the magic of iCloud. And having that work, even if you have to access it a little differently, like it's still all 100% Apple's ecosystem, and that experience sucks a lot less than it does in some other contexts.
Yeah, but I think you could have what we're talking about along with iCloud. Like,
sure,
it's just how does Apple want to do they want to present this full desktop experience from a mobile device?
And so far, the answer is no. They do not.
And, I think that's not to make this, hate on Apple in the moment or anything like that. But I really, the thing that frustrates me, the thing that I wish I could build is whatever kind of virtual reality headset would show people in Cupertino how far they could actually go with the hardware that they have and give people the opportunity to do a lot more with what they've got than they're doing now. Like, we gave you the Files app on iPad OS. Ooh,
Yeah.
Sweetie, no. And like, make it something that is actually usable. So if you wanted it to be your only machine, that it would not be such a giant pain in the neck to live that way. So I was trying to save Chuck the edit. Thanks, Guy.
No.
So
Thanks, Guy.
The high PETA factor of trying to do things on a mobile operating system sucks. And it would really be nice if Apple got there ahead of everybody else, because really with the iPad, it feels like that relationship has been dragging Apple kicking and screaming into, don't you know what this thing is that you gave us? Don't you know what it can do? We know what it can do. Why don't you have any faith in it? And it really, I mean, they forked the OS and they were, iPad OS, you're welcome. And we all thought, yes, they finally understood. No, like,
and then it just went stagnant.
Nothing interesting has happened there. So yeah, I would make a VR headset that shows Cupertino, this is what people are trying to do with your hardware and you are limiting it, and let's make it better.
Jim, you had an idea.
Yeah, this is something that I came up with in the last week for Keynote, which, Keynote I think is a great, generally a great program. I love Keynote, and I use it for a lot more than just presentations. It's kind of my general graphic tool. But this idea I have is related to presentations. So I did a Zoom presentation last week that was partly slides and partly live demo. And Keynote doesn't really facilitate that very well. So I wanted to I wanted to plan the whole talk out, including the live demo. So I actually built slides for everything, including the demo part. So, theoretically, I could have done the whole presentation from slides, but I actually did. There were sequences where there might be 10 slides where I actually did that live instead of doing it in Keynote. And what I would like, and it's just sort of a small thing, is a way to pause the presentation, but just the display of the slides, but still have the presenter notes and everything going. Because I'd like to say, okay, now I'm going to do a live thing, but I have prepared slides with presentation notes, and I'd like to be able to have those keep going on the side and to give me my notes on how to do the live demo. And instead, the only way to get it to stop showing the slides is to stop the presentation. And then Keynote goes into its regular, editing mode, which is not very convenient for, doing a presentation at all. There's no way to automatically advance it except to reach over and click on the slide in the scrolling list, and the notes become really small. And, actually what I wound up doing was taking the whole presentation and basically making a copy of each thumbnail and the presenter notes, and I put it in Notes. And then I brought that up on my iPad next to my display. So I was kind of like manually going through my presentation and notes. So that was a lot of extra work. And then when I finished my live demo, I had to go back to Keynote and it wasn't advancing. So I was like, well, what slides do I have to skip? And there's dead air while I'm figuring that out. And I just think it would be really nice if, Keynote could just say, oh, keep staying in the presentation, but just don't show the presentation. So, and I'm kind of surprised because, Apple does this all the time for like WWDC and stuff. Of course, now they're not doing those live. And I guess in the past, they had actually two computers. So they would have the demo computer and the slide computer, and they would just use an HDMI switcher. But I don't have an extra computer, here to, that I want to do that. And it still would be inconvenient because then what am I going to make separate presenter notes? And so that's just a little, sort of along the idea of your cable tester. It's a little niggly niggly thing, but it would be really nice for presentations where it's a mix of live and slides.
That's a good idea, Jim, because I could I could see myself using that particular feature. So that's great. This edition of MacVoices is supported by Zocdoc. Find local doctors who take your insurance. No one knows what you're looking for in a doctor better than you, and no one's better at giving you the tools to find the perfect doctor than Zocdoc. The people who created Zocdoc found the major pain points in healthcare, all the things that weren't working, and said enough. And they made booking a great doctor surprisingly pain-free. Zocdoc is a free app that shows you the doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, and are available when you need them. Read up on local doctors, get verified patient reviews, and see what other real humans had to say about their visit. So when you walk into that doctor's office, you're set up to see someone in your network who gets you. Go to Zocdoc.com, choose a time slot, and whether you want to see the doctor in person or do a virtual visit. And just like that, you're booked. Go to Zocdoc.com/MacVoices and download the Zocdoc app for free. Then start your search for a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's Zocdoc, ZocDoc.com/MacVoices. Zocdoc.com/MacVoices. Thanks to Zocdoc for their support of MacVoices.
Yeah.
I want to circle back just for a second to Guy's thing. And Guy, I'm not being argumentative here. I guess and for some reason I've got security on the mind. Maybe it's because of a meeting I attended today. But I would feel a lot better. Like I can, with my iPad, to Kelly's point, I can do a lot of what you want to do. Maybe not the full desktop experience by tapping into iCloud. If I'm carrying around all my files, a la MacBook, well then, and it's a lot easier to lose your phone than your MacBook. So all my files then could be on that in the bad guy's hands, and he has all the time in the world to dig into them.
Well, I mean, it's for the most part, it's going to be stored in iCloud or some other kind of cloud service, and you're still connecting to all those files via the cloud as compared to local. It's just the UI that's going to change, and how you deal with it.
Okay, how about the fact though that you got to plug into something? I mean, we've already seen situations where people plug into the power jack at the airport and their phone is hacked.
Well, I was just speaking of something that I wanted.
No, that's okay. But the fact that somebody tried to implement it, I think, is the interesting part of your idea. And I'm trying to understand, I guess, what the big benefit is, because that means, I mean, are you expecting to be able to do anything with that?
Well, I mean, think about what's going on right now. Right now, people are a lot of people are going between home and office, working every single day. So if your company could issue you a phone that also worked as a network attached device when you went into the office, or if you plug it in when you're at home and you're able to basically, because the device itself has some kind of connection back to a secure connection back to a company server, and it knows, okay, well, this person has authenticated that it's him and that it's his phone, and so we're going to give him access to all of the stuff that he has at work. It eliminates a lot of the stuff that you have to do now, all the hoops that you have to jump through now to connect to your home office. I mean, we've got people here, and I won't say who I work for, that are having a hell of a time trying to get basic connectivity to the everyday stuff that it is that they would do if they were in the office. And we're going on now 2 years into this, and they're still having problems with it.
And they can connect to that stuff from their phone?
No, I'm talking about if this was implemented, it could be something that could be used, because the phone itself could become an authentication device, as compared to trying to set it up on a Mac computer or a Windows computer or whatever kind of computer that you have at your house to a company server that's located remotely.
So
Well,
what you're saying is a MacBook,
Or
just
whatever.
in the size. Well, no, but a MacBook the size of your phone is what you're talking about. So
It
obviously
already
the-
is,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
The
you know,
power is there. It's just the UI just isn't there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one way I think about this is why would you want this? For me, it's just like maybe you can minimize the amount of Apple devices you own. Right now, I have an iPhone, an iPad, a MacBook, and an Apple Watch. If I could plug my iPhone into this external monitor, and the iPhone chip, this iPhone 13 chip that I have is very powerful.
Yeah.
And I could be able to do most of what I need to with this chip. So, maybe I could cut costs and sell my MacBook and iPad and just focus on the iPhone and the display.
Blasphemer. Sorry.
well,
I had to put it out there.
and knowing Apple, if they were to do this, then you're going to have to buy a dock every place you plug in. Want to do this, and that dock and the monitor and your keyboard and your pointing device, they're going to cost more than the MacBook because this is Apple.
Well,
Yeah.
But it's HDMI. So how
in that
expensive
case,
of a monitor do you need to connect to it?
Yeah.
But I mean,
Overall-
it's pie in the sky anyway, because
Yeah.
to the best of our knowledge, Apple isn't going to do it. I was just talking about something that Samsung and a few other companies that have bought into DeX are able to do right now. And a couple of years ago, a company put out a little computer about the size of a hockey puck
Mhm.
Right.
that used the Android OS.
Well,
as a base.
And the interesting thing is Dex has been out for a while, right? Like
Yeah.
couple, and it hasn't taken off. So I would think, Apple would look at that and go,
But here's the
hasn't taken
difference.
off.
Here's the difference. Samsung doesn't control Android. Samsung doesn't control
Or
the
Windows.
entire Android. Well, Windows doesn't even enter into this. Samsung is a slave into the Android ecosystem, whereas Apple owns the entire widget. So
right. But I'm saying this from the point of view that Apple is not going to look and go, oh, here's this huge successful, it succeeded. So we should, we need to
doesn't
get
have a
into that
chance.
market. But
there's no chance for it to succeed when you're in a fragmented market like Android. It's a success as far as what it's capable of doing, but it's still it's only for people that have a Samsung device and a few of the other top end phones that's able to tie into DeX. Whereas if you have an iPhone, almost every single iPhone in essence is a premium smartphone. So you would be, if Apple did something like this, you would still be able to use it to plug in and do all these other things. But Samsung isn't going to be a roaring success at this just based on their own market share.
Well, and I also, say Apple has made it now. You can run iOS apps on your Mac.
Mhm.
And again, people are kind of like, oh,
What if you don't have a Mac at the office? What if you don't have a Mac at your Aunt Matilda's house?
Yeah, but now
she has a monitor.
so again, you're saying
she
you
has a
want to
keyboard.
run iOS apps on a desktop environment.
That's what
No, I
people
said
are doing with iPad already.
Yeah.
Right.
More or less, but it's not the same thing. It's if you ever try DeX, you'll see exactly what it is I'm talking about. Go and look at some demos for it. There are plenty of demos for it on YouTube that'll show you how it works. It's basically Windows.
Guy, if I had this, I guess I get what you're saying, but that means that anywhere I want to do any work, I've got to let's pretend that you're not going to have a proprietary dock. Okay, so anywhere I want to work, I've got to have at that location a keyboard, a mouse, or a trackpad or a pointing device of some kind,
Sure.
and a monitor,
Mhm.
and a high-speed connection. Okay, right now, if I take my iMac or my MacBook or my iPad, I can do almost everything you're talking about.
Well, you can't do everything I'm talking about.
Well, but I can do it. I can do what I can do anywhere, as opposed
Sure.
to having to wait to get to that location. So instead of fighting for a spot at the coffee shop monitor stand and or station, I can just sneak off in the corner, open one of my devices, and start to do what it is I want to do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, but you still now also have two very expensive devices as compared to one expensive device.
Well, no, not necessarily, because I would not necessarily take my iPad and my MacBook. I mean, look, we're all Apple geeks.
No, he's saying you have to buy multiple devices for different locations. You got to have a Mac at work and a Mac at home. And Guy just wants to, Guy is saying, and I think this idea is an idea that actually I thought was a great idea 10 years ago. I think now it's an idea whose time has passed. The processor isn't really, that valuable a part of the whole equation. The one thing about it is kind of like, oh, well, we've got storage in there and it's kind of a pain in the ass to, I'd like to essentially use my iPhone as a USB stick and have my documents there so that, but now we do that by the cloud and we have such fast bandwidth. I think fast bandwidth is what makes this an idea that is like probably never going to happen. Because the expensive parts, are the monitor and.
I don't think I agree. I think the expensive part is the computer, is the MacBook Pro or the MacBook Air.
Maybe the SSD drive is the most expensive part in there.
Well, no, because you had all of your stuff, all of the stuff that you want to manipulate is either on the phone, because then you can have a phone with 512 gigs or a terabyte of storage, or it's going to be available on the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well,
okay, but Guy, I know I'm being argumentative, but I don't have to have a Mac at home and one at the office. I can take now, especially with the M1 chips. I mean, the base level M1 is adequate for about probably 85 to 90% of the people, if not higher.
Sure.
So I can pick that up. I can take it with me to the office. I can come here. I can plug it into a large monitor if I really feel the need at the office or at home. But I can also take it to the coffee shop and, work there, or, go out under the tree in the backyard and work there. And with the device you're talking about, again, I have to have that. I see some appeal to it, but I also see some disadvantages that, it's a compromise. You could carry one small device. I'm carrying a little bit larger device, but I feel like I've got more flexibility.
You're more self-contained.
You're talking about. Well, yes.
With Guy's idea, you've got to have infrastructure everywhere you go. The flip side of something I'd like to see, if in this sort of a line, I would sure like to see cellular capability built into the Mac.
Yes. Oh. Yes. Because there, you're right. Now I have to buy an iPad. Excuse me, an iPhone and.
Well, yeah, you mentioned going out into the back.
You need a
going
mobile
to the
provider
park or something. Yeah.
Right.
Use a hotspot.
Yeah. It would be really nice if the Mac was self-contained for connectivity.
Yeah.
The only trouble with that is that the providers will happily charge you extra for each device, which
And they already do that with.
Yeah.
Right.
Let me
PC
talk
world.
to you about why my watch is Wi-Fi only. Yeah.
exactly, Kelly, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this has been good. I want to make sure I get just a couple things in from the chat room because there were some interesting comments here about what they'd like to see. AutoCAD for Mac native would be nice. Shipping big iMac or Mac Pro with M1 Max Duo 20-core CPU-based Mac. Okay, maybe eventually. Real Mac programs on iOS. There's one for you. Yeah, you, Paul and Jim are aligned. I don't know what to do with that. So yeah, some interesting ideas in here.
I just want to be able to run Panorama on my iPad without having to actually write an iPad version of Panorama.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll talk to the developer and see if he can make it happen.
I know a guy. Let me see what I can do for you, Jim.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm the guy. And I
Well,
don't want to
then
do
get on it.
I don't want to do that work.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Let's go around
Stop
the
it
room,
on my
find out
joke,
where
man.
folks can find you, and then we'll get out of here. And this time I'm going to swap it around and start with the last first. So, Kelly, you're up first. Where can folks find you?
You can find me over at The Incomparable, where I host a show called I Want My MCU TV. I also host a show which will be making its return this year, Greetings from the Uncanny Valley, where we talk about Westworld, because that's back later this year. And you can find me at other places on The Incomparable talking about stuff or perhaps playing a game. And the rest of the time, you can find me on the After Show with Mike and Kelly at aftershowpodcast.com. And occasionally, David has me come by his show when Warren can't be bothered to show up. And the rest of the time, you can find me on Twitter as Verso.
Great. Thank you for being here, Kelly. Appreciate it.
Thanks for letting me in. You keep doing it. And as long as you're going to keep letting me in, I'm just going to keep showing up.
Okay, well, then we'll all take a vote next time Kelly shows up. Should we? Or should we?
Yes.
It was just a vote, Kelly. I didn't.
I'll miss Chuck.
Yeah. Okay.
The rest of you,
but not by much.
I'll miss Chuck, but my aim's improving all the time.
Oh, good. Jim Ray, thank you. You're the guy that doesn't want to do the work for what he wants to see.
I do plenty of work. I do plenty of work.
Where can folks find you, Jim?
Provue.com, PROVUE.com, and on Twitter at ProvueJim.
Excellent. Thanks for being here. It was fun as always. Andrew, thank you for being our security guy tonight. We really appreciate it. I hope that maybe we gave some folks something to think about, and maybe they'll be just a little more cautious about what they send and how. Where can folks find you?
Yeah, I mean, that's what, as Kelly said earlier, that's what we always hope. We just try to give people knowledge and the tools to, maybe have that 15% skepticism. You can find me at macobserver.com. I'm writing about Apple, technology in general, a whole bunch of other stuff. And besides that, I'm most often found on Twitter at Andrew or Not.
Excellent. Thank you, Andrew. Mr. Serle.
Yes.
I don't mean to argue with you. It just
That's fine. I don't care.
I'm trying to get the vision, and I just can't quite get there.
It's there. It's there, Chuck. You just have to look through it with my eyes.
Oh God, I hope not. Where can folks find you?
VertShark or Mac Parrot over on the Twitters. VertShark.com is the website for all the odds and the vids. You can also find me over at the mymac.com podcast. We are 2 episodes away from our 600th podcast, which will be show 885. And please don't ask me to explain how that works. Guy at mymac.com and podcast at vertshark.com are the email addresses. And I think that pretty much covers it.
Great. Thank you, Guy. It's good to see you, even if you're a little confused on who won the Super Bowl.
What?
David Ginsburg, thank you for being here. Where can folks find you?
Thank you for having me. You can find me at In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com. Guy will be on the show this week, and I'm happy to say if Andrew isn't here next week, I'm going to let everybody know that he will be debuting on In Touch with iOS next Thursday.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. We probably can talk a little about security. You can find me on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/DaveG65. On the Mac Show on Fridays usually, and here on Tuesday nights. And you can find me on Twitter at DaveG65. Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you, David. Folks, I want to thank the chat room as well. Brad especially has been doing a running commentary on things, but we've had a couple other comments in there, and everyone's comments are always appreciated. If you weren't here for this show, we'd love to have you for the next one and the next one and the next one. So again, set your voice assistant for 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, whatever time that is, wherever you are, and join us, youtube.com/MacVoices TV. Until the next time, and as always, I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.